Hi, Siwe. Thanks so much for your question. We're just going to have a look at these two questions that I've written down here. I know they're not part of the questions that you've given me, but we're going to be solving them in the same way. And when we solve things like this, when we are estimating surds, it's called, what we actually need to do is be very familiar with our perfect squares and perfect cubes. So what I mean by that is we should know what the cubed numbers are, what the perfect cube numbers are. So we'd have 1 squared, and then we'd have 2 squared, we'd have 3 squared, 4 squared. Oh, look, I wrote 3 there instead of 2, 3 squared, 4 squared, and we need to know all of these numbers going down. So 5 squared, 6 squared, 7 squared, all of those. And the same with our cubed numbers. So we're going to find equal signs, equal. And then over here, same with our cube numbers. We need to know what they all are because they are very important in solving these particular questions. So what I'd like you to do for me quickly is just pause the video and find out what all of these are for me. So you don't have to stop at 4. You can keep going 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You're going to need all of them, especially for the exercises that you have to do now. They're going to be a lot easier for you. Okay, so I'm going to write down the answers quickly. We know that 1 squared is just 1 times 1, which is going to give us 1. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. And then 1 cubed is also going to be 1 because that's just 1 times 1 times 1. That's going to give us 1. So 2 cubed is 8. 3 cubed is 27. And 4 cubed is 64. Write that down, 64. All right, so when we're estimating surds, we need to see, if we look at all our squared numbers over here, if we look at all our squared numbers, where do you think the root of 7 would fall? Because we know that 7 isn't actually an answer to any of our perfect squares. So it's going to fall in between two numbers. Now, think about which of the numbers on this side the square root of 7 would fall in between. So the square root of 7 would definitely fall in between 9 and 4, which means the answer we're actually looking for here is that the square root of 7 is going to be less than 3, but more than 2, whatever that answer is, because when we square this number, when we square 2, we're going to get 4, and if we square 3, we're going to get 9, and 7 falls in between both those numbers. So if we square this number, we're going to get 4, and if we square this number, we're going to get 9, and this 7 here falls in between those two numbers. And that's how we can solve this one. And this one down here, the square root, or the cube root rather, of 20, we're going to use the exact same method, but we're going to be doing this with 64, with 1, 8, 27, or 64. You can try and figure out which one it is. Pause the video and see if you can find out which two numbers it's going to fall in between. That's right, it's going to fall in between 3 and 2 because the square or the cube root of 27 is 3 and the cube root of 8 is 2. And 20 falls right in between 8 and 27 when we're talking about our perfect cube. So over here, we know that the cube root of 20 is going to be smaller than 3, but bigger than 2. I hope that was helpful, and you can kind of try and use this method to find out how you can do the ones in your worksheet that you got. Send me some of your answers, and then we can go through them together. Okay, good luck.